Hi, this is Bill Prater, and welcome to Supercharging Business Success. Our mission is to provide you with timely, provocative, and actionable resources that you can use to inspire, promote, and accelerate your quest for business excellence. Today's episode is why every business needs a back-to-market strategy. We'll do that in just 7 minutes with Jake Dunlap. Now, Jake is the founder and CEO of Skaled Consulting and is a recognized leader in B2B sales and marketing thought leader. Jake and the Skaled team help executives around the planet accelerate and scale business growth with data-backed sales solutions and a sustainable customer framework. Along with the list of enterprise clients, Skaled has also amassed in a few short years, people like the New York Jets, LinkedIn, Insightly, ADP, Microsoft. The majority of Skaled clients are startups and mid-level businesses looking for accelerated growth with a scalable and sustainable path forward. In these uncertain times, Jake has nationally positioned himself and Skaled as an expert in adaptability. Jake spends most days leading executives and teams through modern demand lead generation and into the future of sales and marketing. You can consistently rely on Jake for sharing his true and honest thoughts and advice on any number of his social channels, as well as participating in virtual speaking events and breakout sessions around the globe. Before building Skaled, Jake held the role of Vice President of Sales at Nowait, which was acquired by Yelp. He was the head of sales and customer success at Chartbeat and VP of sales at Glassdoor, which is acquired recently by Recruit Holding for a tidy sum of $1.2 billion in 2018. Jake, welcome to the podcast.
I love it. Well, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it. That was quite the intro.
Well, thank you. I was delighted. I really smiled when I heard virtual speaking. I'm thinking, well, I bet he, before recent times, did some live ones.
That's right.
Okay, Jake, if you're ready, I've started the timer. First question is, Jake, I know you cover a broad spectrum, but who's your ideal client avatar?
Yeah, look, our ideal client is really CEOs and revenue leaders who are trying to either modernize a component of their, we'll call it sales engine, whether it's demand generation from a marketing standpoint, the sales process, the account growth process, or organizations that are looking to scale to new levels. So organizations that are looking to, maybe they're at 25, 50 million and they're trying to figure out, hey, what are we going to need to do from a revenue engine standpoint to now get to 100, 150 million, et cetera. So that could be a company going from 1 to 10, 10 to 30, or 30 to 100. We really come in and support executive leadership through those changes. Think of us kind of like a consulting firm plus an agency that actually gets in the trenches and does a lot of the tactical execution as well.
So I know you solve a lot of problems for folks, Jake, but what's the principal problem that you would say you and your company solve?
Yeah, and I think now, it evolves, right? As the needs of our, market shift and things change. But I would say I can boil it down to a couple of key areas. The first is, we'll call it modern demand generation. There's all these different, you're focused on your SEO strategy, your paid media strategy, your outbound strategy. Well, today, this is more intertwined than ever. And so we work with a lot of organizations around how do we, mix our paid, our social, our LinkedIn organic strategies and create really a modern outbound and inbound engine. So I'd say that's one. I'd say every company wants more leads, right? So that would be one core problem that we solve is that. The other is around optimizing and really meeting the customer where the customer's at. That most sales engines are built from a sales organization efficiency first and customer experience second. And what we're seeing is that in B2B, customers are looking for an experience more similar to B2C, where I can learn more about a company up front. There's not a bunch of gates. I can get to the information that I want. I can get information on the competition, and then I can make an educated decision. And so really a lot of the work we're doing now is helping organizations to modernize that sales experience to really meet customers in a more modern way.
That's really nice to hear. So what symptoms or feelings do people have, Jake, CEOs, sales leaders, that they would know, gee, I should reach out and find Jake and talk to him?
Yeah. I think there's the ones that show up on a dashboard or spreadsheet, and then there's the ones that show up in your gut too, right?
Right.
So for us, I think usually what manifests is that they're looking for either ways to increase the volume of their like I said, demand generation or outbound efforts, or they're looking for ways to better increase their conversion percentages. Really, a lot of sales processes boil down to something very simple. It's the percent of people that convert from each stage to the next, and it's the amount of time that people spend in each stage. And so usually the problem that they have is there is a conversion problem from one step to the next, whether it's getting net new leads into that first conversation or down the funnel, or things are taking too long, and so then deals aren't converting, etc. So usually those are the problems that they're experiencing. There's
Okay.
some gap or issue in the process.
So I'm curious, question number 4, what common mistakes do you see that people make trying to solve this problem for themselves?
There's a few. I think for me, one of the first is we try to almost over index on efficiency. What can we automate, right? Which isn't inherently a bad thing, but just the amount of information that we have and the data that buyers have access to has evolved, and therefore the sophistication of the sales organization is higher than it's ever been. So if you're running these very basic plays that have worked for you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where it's like call email, call email, there's so much more going on. So I'd say there's a sophistication problem where we're still kind of basically building revenue engines the way that we did 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And then, the other piece is that the speed of sales technology. We have now over 1,500 sales specific technologies, and that's up from like 100 5 years ago. And so there's this kind of constant battle that we're going through now around the complexity of things, and not kind of reverting back to very simple solutions, and coupling in how we can use technology to augment a lot of this with tools that just didn't exist.
So Jake, question number 5, what would you say to our listeners is one valuable free action that each of them can take right away to make a big leap forward in this?
All right. So this is for all, the good part is all of you are B2B. So I don't have to try to, I don't have to start to talk about TikTok or Snapchat. Get active on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is LinkedIn is now a top 20 site in the United States. It is where B2B decision makers go every single day, or certainly every week. And if you as an executive aren't thinking about your digital presence, because for a lot of you as executives, or even on your front lines, if I Google your name, LinkedIn's the number one result. And so organizations that are able to create ways to engage authentically on LinkedIn, to where they're sharing thought leadership. They're building, let's go back to the days of building brand. They're building a brand. They're not just everything's a call to action and a download. Those are the companies that are winning. So getting active by, producing content that's purely for the audience, and focusing on engaging buyers where they are right now. That is the number one action that I would take if I was listening right now.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, we got a little over almost 2 minutes to go, and we've got 2 questions. So the second to the last question, Jake, is what valuable free resource have you cooked up for our listeners? What is the resource that you're offering, and where would they go on your website to find it?
Yeah, I'm going to send, we'll make sure we link in the comments here. So I'm going to send you kind of our go-to, and I'll kind of dovetail in, since my valuable free action is around LinkedIn, really are like 5 go-tos for LinkedIn, which candidly, the good part about LinkedIn is you don't have to make videos. You don't have to act silly. You don't have to act, stupid, right? LinkedIn over indexes on text only posts, right? So I'm going to offer up our kind of go-to playbook for any executive or any company that's looking to get active for the first time. So we'll include the link in the comments.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. So Jake, final question. So I've asked you 6. What question were you hoping that Bill would ask you right now? And I didn't ask it. So what's that question, and what's the answer?
I love it's a good question to ask. Always ask the question of what not to ask. It's a good sales technique as well too. So for anyone out there, this is a good way to kind of always flip it around to the buyer. I think for me is, what happens next as we go, as we go back to market, so as your organization is preparing to think about H2 of 2020 and H1 of 2021, are you going to do things differently? And so really my challenge to a lot of executives is you just went, almost every company went under their hood with their CFO, right? Wherever expenses, what are we doing? Are you gonna just go back with a fairly similar, slightly adjusted go-to-market strategy? Or are you actually gonna take a look at your outbound process, your sales process, your marketing? Because now I think is the time. We've been making incremental changes, but with this, I feel like there's a real opportunity for companies to make, really monumental leaps if, they're willing to get under the hood of the revenue organization the same way they did with their CFO.
Excellent. Jake, you're fantastic. 11 seconds to go.
11 seconds. I nailed it. There we go.
You nailed it. So everybody, in closing, focus on this single fact, and that is that businesses do not become extraordinary in a single moment. They get there as a result of the owner, you and I, learning and applying a proven combination of the right mindset, a dedication to a system of management, and leveraging high-performance teams. Thank you all very much. Jake, thanks for your generosity.